I don't know why I whistled after. And that wasn't even that was the crappiest whistle I've ever heard. I didn't even hear it. That's how bad it was. You blow out, right?
Yeah, and in.
What do you mean in?
Oh, that sound! Oh my god! That was so good. No, so you can whistle. You go right out and then in. I'm just gonna make you laugh.
We tried. Well, we almost tried.
Alrighty.
Dude.
John Wick 2 is such a good movie.
I know. I realized I had paused for too long. And I thought, nah, he'll say something.
Yep.
Dude, John Wick 2. You know, honestly, it was surprising. I was like looking...
How much you forgot? You kept like every minute you're like, oh god, I forgot about him. Oh yeah, him. Oh, I forgot about her.
You know what? I think
every second I was like, my gosh, man, you can't remember anything about it. But it's no, that's better for you though.
Well,
because you get to get surprised all over again. For the whole movie.
I was having this thought at like at the beginning of the film, like one of two things. Because I like when they each came out like separately. Like when the first one came out, I watched like 1,000 times, and then the second one came out, and I watched that one 1,000 times. Right. And then I watched the third one, and then I just kept watching the third one. So that's one possibility. Or possibility two is like, the first time you watch a movie, if it really captivates you, like a movie like this, at least for me, like a movie that captivates you,
all the John Wick
you will watch it like you're like dead on, like concentrated on it.
Oh yeah.
After that, especially like when you have the movie at home, like, and you got other things going on, aka life, which bunny quotes.
Funny quotes, huh? That's a new one. I've never heard them used that way before.
You like just have it on in the background, so you're not really like concentrating on it, and then but when you like sit down and you watch it with like what's best is, and I think that's why movie theaters, which is going to be kind of ironic that I say this because I'm usually one of those people that are like, oh man, like the movie theater is going to like kind of go away. But I really realize, like, especially now, like, movie theaters, that's how you, like, concentrate on it. Like, when you watch it with other people and with different people, that's when you can, like, because they're going to bounce off of something that you don't catch or that you don't notice.
Well, not only that, but the energy is so different. Because everyone is now hyped.
Yo, yeah, that's that
for the movie, which just increases your own hype,
especially when
which increases their hype. So it's a never-ending. Oh, God.
Which, by the way, when I was like going back to when we watched John Wick 1 and then talked about it, we almost talked about zero of the action and all the fun parts that happened. It was like. And this is mostly
more introspective of the movie than
mostly my fault. I was like, let's real deep for some reason into this action revenge movie that's so much pure fun. You just sit there and enjoy it. You're like laughing, like you're like ha ha whoa. You're just like freaking out, like the whole like it goes from like joy to ouch to joy to like it's so much a fun experience, and we just talked about almost zero of that.
It's because the world that they have made for John Wick is so lived in already. It exists.
Oh yeah.
In the movie, that is a place that actually exists in their universe, and that's what's so good about it. That it's so already lived in. It feels like a place you could go.
Yeah.
You know? Because everything... And everyone seems to be a part of it. That's the other crazy thing that you slowly realize in these movies. You're like, does everyone have some type of like foot or hand or finger or pinky toe in the underworld? You're like, what the heck? The woman with the stroller and the baby looking at him at the end, going like, wait, hold on. I just imagine, like, I'm now thinking about it. I'm like, just imagine the baby looking over the stroller's like edge at John,
horror film,
just following him.
Horror film, horror film.
It's the baby that answers the phone instead of the mom.
I mean, and I'm sure too. Like these guys are all on like different levels. Like they may not know about the world, but they know. But they are hired to do a job. It is. To your point, though, it is very fascinating.
They all know what the high table is. I mean, this is the first time we learn about the high table. You thought, especially in the first one, you get glimpses, and when you go to the Continental for the first time, you're like, oh, this is an actual like organization. There's rules. There's different people in it. But the first one doesn't really necessarily it suggests that there's a wider aspect to this, but it doesn't really suggest that it's wider than New York at that point.
Yeah, oh no, yeah,
so it seems more like either a New York thing or maybe the greater US type of thing, and then this one just kind of explodes it and goes, oh no, it's a worldwide freaking organization that runs just about everything.
And the Continental is, and no offense to the Continental, is kind of just the stepping off point.
Oh yeah, well they're all what I love the way that they talk about it, especially when D'Antonio is like, I have the right to what does he say? I have the right to demand. You have the right to demand nothing from me.
Oh yeah, from Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
this is my kingdom and mine alone.
We should.
Like, oh, this is so good.
We should start from the beginning, and I know that's ironic that I'm saying that.
Beginning of the movie?
Yeah, okay. The place I never start.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's it's like a mini. You always go, not always, but like when you go from one movie to the next movie, there's always like a time jump, and sometimes you're going like, hey, what's in between? Like, because you could totally start this movie off with him in the house.
There are no time jumps in the John Wick universe, if you think about it.
No, like maybe a few hours.
Few hours.
Yeah,
but
a day.
The next movie takes place right
within
as this
45 minutes. Yeah,
of this one ending.
And we'll get to, because I know you said you had a lot of questions, but like even just the beginning and being able to kind of like not only, I guess not like wrap that first story up, but it was kind of like, hey,
kind of, yeah.
Well, but it was kind of like,
remember what was going on. Here's the ending of that.
Yes, and also too, like, hey, like if you're like, hey, what's going on? Who is that? Like if you've never seen John Wick 1, you can watch the beginning of John Wick 2 almost and go, all right, I get this.
It gives you a very, very limited synopsis of the first movie.
Yeah, if you want to miss out some of the really dire, like emotional, which you kind of need, especially with his wife.
You need to see the first movie to understand, to really understand. Like you get, like I said, like he says it. He says what happened. In the first one, his nephew screwed up by killing a dog and stealing a car, and so he killed everybody.
which is that scene is so cool because this like henchman's like, you think all this is necessary? Like packing up and moving? It's like, it's John Wick. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, can't we just give him back his car?
That's always the best. That's always the best when they always mention John Wick and everyone just goes, oh.
And what's interesting too is like you think like, okay, there's only like a couple of different ways you can play the John Wick like kind of thing, but it's like because you have the level.
John Wick the character or John Wick
just
people
like
saying John Wick?
Yeah, just people saying John Wick but you have all these different like ways because you have that one way where it's like. Did you say John? Like terrified? Like, right. Did you just say we're not supposed to say that name? We're like, And then, but you also have the guys who are like on either were taught by him and have like and was like, oh, John Wick.
But no one's ever been taught by John Wick.
Well, like not
people
like
that have
looked
people who have looked up to John Wick. You have people who respect John Wick and have maybe worked with him.
John Wick taught Perkins.
No.
He even said, like, right before they fight, he goes that's not the wise size I taught you. Like, and then before he starts, like, John definitely looks at Perkins and go, this is not the way I taught you to fight. When he's like attacking him in the Continental.
No way. I don't remember that at all.
It's gonna go down. Well, not right now, but it's gonna go down.
It'll happen.
It'll happen. No, it'll happen because definitely it'll happen. But anyways,
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah,
if that is in there, I apologize for not remembering that at all.
I mean, hey, that's what's so interesting about when like more people watch a movie, you'll catch things or miss things, or if you're me and you watched it 1,000 times. Not to say that I know every part by memory, because clearly I don't. You were even watching me watch this one, and I was going, wasn't that? And then wasn't that?
I forgot about it.
So you know what? Sometimes I have a bad habit as well. As once I've watched a movie enough, I just go back and watch like my favorite scenes. So it's like, oh, I'll watch this scene, and then I'll skip, and then I'll watch. So when I sit down and watch it all the way through for the first time in a long time, I'm like, oh, I've totally matched all of this. Oh, you're the villain? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, you're the main guy? Oh, okay. We're not throwing a ring in a volcano? My bad.
There are a lot of movies that I could just about do word for word. One in particular, one of my favorite movies to like re-quote and just kind of go through it is National Treasure. I love that movie. With Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, he's...
Steal the Declaration of Independence. Getting off topic here, but like...
Which, this is amazing, because
You're usually the one that gets off topic.
No, but we're on two things right now, because I was the one that wanted to start at the beginning of the movie, which is never me, and you jumped to almost the end.
Yeah.
and then I'm usually the one that gets us off track, and you're getting us off track before...
Well, you mentioned something that's brought up an idea in my head, but...
Conversation.
Yeah, I know, right? But no, man, just this movie.
Yeah, okay. So the beginning is great, and it sets up like how. So he gets out. He like wraps up the thing from the first movie,
and it looks done.
It looks like we're about to see John Wick play the back nine, and like just like looks like he's like. And I don't know why. And I said this. I
would still watch that movie.
I would.
I would still watch it.
Okay, that goes along with exactly what I was just about to say, because like I said this while we were watching the movie. When he goes down and like puts all of his gear away and like basically closes up, in which on again going a little introspective, like
that's fine as long as we keep talking about it.
Well, of course, but it's a very interesting, because you can see him going through the motions of not only putting away his gear but also locking that part himself up one last time.
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Okay, so you remember when? Okay, so obviously he's putting everything away and he's being meticulous. He's being who is still the core part of himself, which is do everything to your best. Always.
Right.
So when he's doing everything, even though it looks monotonous and it looks boring, he's doing it perfectly each time. He's making sure that it's done correctly and well, and that it won't, fail or whatever. So when he's putting all that stuff away, and then Santino comes knocking, and he when they're sitting down and everything like that, and John's refusing and everything like that. Oh, so one of the questions, so this goes to that point though, right before what I'm also going to say about Santino. My question to you was going to be, what did he think was going to happen by forcing John to do something? What was going through his mind? Like, I can handle John Wick.
Well, two things, so that we don't lose track of the last thing about like watching John Wick play the back nine, which would be awesome. I was gonna say that like why I find like even that so interesting is, and we were gonna touch on this, when he puts his gear away and he paves it back over, he's so meticulous. And even that, even though like we just watched this guy get into play bumper cars for real life and just destroy ping pong and people all over the place, and
including himself,
to then meticulously doing like
and he's
cement
bruised,
work,
battered, shot, stabbed, burned.
What?
Every single
and
thing
even more
broken.
so, I'm just as interested in him meticulously doing this as I was going, whoa, what the, how the, who? And so that just speaks to like how much exactly we would watch him play the back nine, because if I can watch a person like do concrete, which,
and I still find it fascinating.
Which, yeah, look, I'm all for watching paint dry, but come on, like after the first scene of him just killing everything, but yeah. So what was going in through Santino's mind when he like has the audacity to be like, so, well, you know what, honestly, and I think it's a really crucial point, because we understand right off the bat who Santino is. Like, this guy is above Vigo. Like
yeah, which was weird.
Yeah,
when you think about it.
So when we have somebody,
because you thought Vigo was freaking high up.
Yeah, and we knew that John barely even talked to him, right? Like even when he called him, he was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm coming after you. Like there's nothing you can do about it."
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, what was going through Santino's head, and what was so good, I think this, like where you're like touched on a little bit earlier before we started filming, how well the writing is
so good.
He had to commit, because he also had to prove to, I think, us, the viewers, how important the
high table is.
Well, the marker is,
right?
Because it
also sets up for the next movie.
Yeah, well, exactly. Because if Santino would have just like passed it again, like, hey, you need to do this, and then John would have passed it back, everybody, especially after watching the first one, would have been like, yeah, you're done, you're leaving. Like you're not pushing that back. And when he does that and puts emphasis on the marker, it shows how much safety there is even in front of this monster, right? For all intents and purposes, that the marker has. And it also proves to us, like, okay, that is an important piece about this story, right. And it really about this world, and it really sets up, like, okay, we're gonna dive a lot deeper, and what we thought were like when we thought, like, because I think we mentioned it last time, and you know, you can even see within the first movie, the coins are really important. Yeah. They're more than just money. It's almost like the preempt to a yes, I will do this for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not slavery, but it's promises.
It's like a commitment.
It's a commitment, exactly. Yeah.
Because I think the commitments. There could, I don't know if there's a better word, but that's a pretty good word, because the marker is like a bond. Like that's unbreakable.
Well, as Santino says it is your soul. You have bonded your soul to this promise. Yeah. And if you do not do it, as Winston says, if you run, you die.
Yeah, and then like and then he doubles down, and and that's what I find so interesting about Santino's character is, while yes, he is definitely afraid of John, he definitely, way more than Vigo, I wouldn't say like the cojones, but he has more of a understanding of, no, you're not going to push me down. You do scare me, but I'm going to stay on my level and do what needs to be done.
You're still a pawn.
Yeah.
And I'm still...
Yeah.
I'm either a bishop, or I'm a king, or I'm above you.
But he plays that duality very well of still being, quote unquote, the king, but still understanding what he's being a king to another king. Like, this is not like a there is a level.
Well,
not a king. No,
if you want to go the chess metaphor, he's a king staring down a queen in power.
Better, way better, way better. Fantastic.
Because the queen can do anything.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. So I think like, and so that's like a really cool like aspect. Plus, what's really cool about like this is we get to see John go on and plan a mission.
Yeah, which is freaking fantastic. But before we get into that, one of my favorite moments in the entire freaking franchise. But when I was talking about the writing, though, so in that scene when Santino is getting up to leave, right, and he says, "You're right, John. You can't help me, but he can." I finally figured out what that means.
Can I take a guess?
Yes.
Is it have anything to do? Oh, I don't want to give away anything in the. Has anything to do with
nothing to do with the next movie. It's all self-contained. It's not as complicated as you think.
And it's not Winston.
No.
All right, then go.
So when he says that, he's looking right at John, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you remember when he goes after he blows up the house, blah blah blah, and John goes to find him at the museum,
right?
And he tells John, he goes, "I told you I needed the boogeyman." That's what he meant. When he says it, he says, "You're right, John. The person you are right now, you cannot help me. You are completely 100% correct. But who you were can."
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to change you right now. I'm going to wake him up. And he's going to help me.
Yeah, that lines up. That lines up perfectly.
And that's great writing.
Yeah.
That's great writing because it's subtle. It's so subtle that I didn't catch it. Like the first few times I saw this movie, no way I caught that.
No way I was paying attention to that. I just, honestly, because you watch it and just like we were talking about, you look at it and go, all right, man, you seem cool. You got international suave, like good for you, but you're kind of still just a bug on John Wick's shoe. Yes, he brings a whole new atmosphere, and from the get-go, you're like, okay, this guy's here to play. But at the other tail of it, it's like, what are you gonna do? And when he doubles down, ballsy first to be like, okay, fine, yeah, I don't need you. And he tells about the marker, goes out to his car, picks out a grenade launcher. Not a gun, not a grenade, not like a grenade like
several grenades going all at once.
Yeah.
And incendiary grenades.
And it's really then for me, like, in the way like I'm remembering it too, is like he's sitting there and he's like, all right, I can't believe you're making me do this, but I'm gonna do it. And then like it's kind of cool because like in my mind too, like if you're that guy, you're kind of like on the one hand, you're like at first you're like, I can't believe I have to do this, and then you're like, you load in the next one, you're like, yeah, but I have to. I'm gonna blow his ass up. Especially that guy, because if he does have any moments of like weakness where he's like, should I really be doing this at some like at his level? It's gonna be momentary. It's gonna be like one group where he's like, I don't want to do this. Well, it's gonna be fun. Let's blow his ass up. That's weird. If we're gonna do it,
but he but he has to do it in order to show strength as well.
Otherwise,
no one else on the high table is going to ever take him seriously.
If
you think about it, his sister is so much more badass than him.
Terrifying. And we'll get to her because basically, and everybody's gonna know anyways. But like that's what the marker is for. It's for him to go and take on his sister, thus letting Santino become part of the table, which
so
is
stupid.
I
just love when everyone else finds out, like, I had a marker. Who's? Her brother. And everyone's like, God, I wish I could have killed him. Everyone's just like, are you effing serious right now?
And I just feel like as soon as you put the hit out on John, you're basically saying, yeah, I was the one that sent John. I mean, it's not like no one's not going to know it wasn't John who just killed. Like, I don't know, but I guess when you're on that level too, and you're playing that level of a game of strategy, and you're also at that level of a peak, as long as you do it that way, maybe he is abiding by the rules. Because I think, watching it a few times, I think she has not fully become a part of the table, which is like this is like the window of.
No. I think he still did. To be perfectly honest.
Well, because if that's the case, then wouldn't at that point he would have become numero uno for death? Because you don't get to just go kill one of the high table. Because it's one thing, like, yeah, and I mean, I guess we're jumping. Let's not jump to the end too quick. Let's go back.
Maybe not, because they said that was her coronation.
Yeah, so that would mean, like, at the end of the night, she would be...
official.
Yeah, because there has to be some sort of, like, hey.
I guess.
Grounding, maybe.
I guess, but... I don't know, man.
I just feel like if that's the case, because if she is part of the 12, or part of the table, when John kills her, then it does not matter if Santino places a hit on him. He would then, like, because no, you don't kill the high table. You kill the high table, you're dead. That's got to be just as bad as killing somebody in the. It's got to be worse than killing somebody in the Continental.
I guess.
I don't know.
I guess there would be more of a clear distinction if Santino didn't get killed. Spoiler alert. In the Continental, because then we would truly see, because at that point he definitely was part of the table.
Yeah.
So, and like, although like, yes, he, John broke the rules of the Continental, he had also then at that point killed somebody at the high table, which made it 1,000 times worse for him.
Maybe? I don't know.
Do you want to talk about your favorite scene and come back to this?
Yeah.
Because we're right there. Yeah, and you know what's really fun about this movie is the scenes, like don't get me wrong, the action and the core and the
quiet scenes are so good.
Yeah, the scene, like, and especially this one, like the planning of the mission, and getting to like
the storytelling is just so phenomenal.
Plus, we get to see an international Continental, which is cool.
Yeah,
and it's cool.
It's headed by another major actor. I can't remember his name right now, but he's another huge guy who plays perfect villains and perfect, just like, high up guys.
He's great. You here for the Pope?
Yeah.
Nope. Okay, here's our finest room. Have a good day.
It's just, is the sommelier in?
Oh. He's okay. So
he steals the whole scene, man.
So the learning about the catacombs is fun, but like that guy is.
What's the actor? Who's the actor?
Oh, I couldn't tell you even if.
No.
What else is he in?
Man. He's in so much stuff.
Name one.
He's in Spy with Jason Statham and what's her name? Anna McCarthy. Anna McCarthy?
Oh, yeah. I know.
And he plays this like weird British. I think he's a British spy. I can't remember. He's effing hilarious. Just this perfect weird guy, and he's so damn funny. But he's so perfect as the sommelier of weapons. Oh my god, I love him so much. He's so good. He's so damn funny.
Dessert.
Well, no, his face is dessert. He's just like he's so pleased to tell John about the different weapons. It's so good. I know that you would. Well, what does he say? He says, I know you're more inclined to the German variety, but I believe that you'd be quite impressed with the new Austrians. And oh my God!
And what does he say about here's our finest cutlery? He goes out all these stuff. Yeah, he's fun, and like you see, and because this is kind of well, I guess in the first one at the very end he uses like a gun different than a handgun, but this movie in particular we really see John use.
You get to see a live action video game. That's what you witness in the catacombs. It's 100% ammo dumps and weapon pickups.
Yeah. That is so much fun when he picks up the AR-15 at first and just mows people down and
even when he has to reload, then he immediately goes to his sidearm to kill the next people, puts it back, reloads that, kills a whole bunch more people.
And his this is not going to be a word, but his movability.
His mobility?
Oh, yeah. That would have been way better.
His mobility, his agility, that would be probably the better word to
use. Just with because even with holding the AR-15, he is able to still
grapple,
gun gotcha his way.
Oh man, we have to do that. We have to do that movie.
What is that movie called? Equilibrium.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be another reference. I almost did. No, just kidding.
We gotta do that movie though.
Yeah, and then when he there is nothing more satisfying for some reason than John with a shotgun. Like
it's just so unfair to everybody else.
He just obliterates when he stabs that guy in the chest.
It almost doesn't even sound like a shotgun. It sounds like I don't know, like a balloon going off. It's some weird.
Well, here, okay.
You're like, what is that sound? It's so strange.
In my mind right now, I thought, okay, say it sounds like deer slugs. And then I thought, no, I need something more powerful than deer slugs. Pick a big animal. And I was like, big animal, big animal. And for whatever reason, I was like, Sasquatch slugs. I was like, I know that doesn't exist, but I was like, you gotta think of something big.
Well, I think it exists. I don't know. I think Bigfoot's possible.
It's all over the place. But anyways, back to
the shotgun. His
dude. When he jams it, when he I think he's like out of bullets.
He's
and
out
he
at
jams that guy,
and then it keeps pushing and pushing until he can reload it, and then does it.
I'm like, oh my!
But his skill, and it's all Keanu Reeves. Like, that's the craziness of it. It's all Keanu Reeves.
Well, that's what I really like, and what I've heard about this film is like. And why people like ask to be a part of it is because you sign up to
get that good.
Learn how to, you sign up to train and I mean, of course we'll talk about it more I knew you had the same thought, but
I just so want to talk about it too, but I can't. I know I have to wait.
Well, okay, and we'll
because I'll have to rewatch the movie to really go into it.
Yes. We'll kind of go through our like favorite moments of the kind of bit here, and then we'll wrap up any final questions, and we can talk about whatever we want. But so in that like catacomb scene, like of course like we should touch on real quick like when he kills like Giovanni, like that girl, which also she blows everything out of. She does such a phenomenal job of like. The whole deciding
she was a true person of the high table.
Yeah,
in every aspect. In her command of respect, when she moved, when she walked, when she entered a spot, her command of respect was there. it wasn't false vibrato. It was legitimate vibrato. It was, this is who I am, this is who you're getting, and if you screw with me, you're probably going to wind up dead.
Dude, she was tenacious.
She was amazing. She was absolutely amazing, and I loved that. And when, and you can still see it regardless. I mean, when John shows up, the fear is still there. Just every single person fears John. Doesn't matter. It seems to not matter what level they're at. If John all of a sudden shows up and you did not call him, immediate fear.
And
that wasn't a good snap.
That was a really cool. Also, just the way that he appeared on screen. Like, she kind of looks and then looks back, and he's just stand. And the look on his face is there's such sorrow.
Yeah, he does not want to be there in any regard whatsoever.
Well, that was what was so interesting too. When Santino first was like, "I need you to kill my sister. I could never do it. I need you to do it." And he goes, "Can't be done." No, you can do it. No, I don't think you understand. It can't be done. Like, you don't understand do you understand who your sister is? Like, it cannot be done.
Yeah.
And
that's why I need the ghost.
And just the way that even to watch her in her final moments, she's so demanding and choosing of her questions and her final desires of what she wants to know, and it really has nothing to of course it's okay, well, my brother figures. That has nothing that and then she gives her a little warning, but after that it's all is it worth it, everything you're doing? She has such these personal,
which I love. What was the name of this woman who is not taking my life?
And was it worth it? And just the understanding of her ability of
she accepts it.
Her acceptance, and I remember and I still cringe because when she's getting ready and she has decided this is it, and she and she gives that final speech of I did what I wanted my whole life.
My hands twitching.
Just thinking. Mine too. But that was so powerful when she was I live my life my way. I'm gonna die my way, and just her ability to just I can't even because it's too much, and I don't want to talk about it. But
I will quickly mention it because for the longest time when I was young, you'd hear about people killing themselves by slitting their wrists or whatever. Every single time, I'm thinking you're doing that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you cut someone this way, you've just killed them.
Yeah.
Right? And then I think I was mid-teenage, so I was 15, 16 years old. My mom was the one who finally explained it. She goes, no, that, you can survive that. A lot of people do that. Slitting your wrist is literally just going down the vein. And I'm okay, that's so much worse.
Yeah, and and I get it. It's a movie or whatever, but if there are people who have that ability. It was the same thing with Marcus. These and you see it in real life too. People, there
are people who do not fear death.
Yeah, and especially those.
Or actually, it's better to not say they accept death. Yeah, they still fear it, but they accept it. They embrace it as a reality.
And don't fight it. And for those, especially her, and you can see she to have the she understands what's going to happen. And she chooses to do it her way. Same with Marcus. Mm-hmm. He knew it was coming, and he chose. He said, they both had killer ways of going out.
Oh yeah.
And also for me to be talking about her on the level that I'm talking about her with compared to Marcus, that's big props to someone who only had about 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
So
she had 3 minutes of screen time.
That's interesting you say that, because in my head I kept saying say 3, but I wanted to give her some leeway, and so I said 5, but I was it's probably more But anyways, so yeah, that was really phenomenal. And then Cassian too, like the hit her
and like I
charge.
said, so the actor that plays Cassian, it's for some reason, I don't know what it is about the actor. It's very hard for me to take him seriously. Even when he no. So when he first shows up, it's still hard for me to take him seriously. It's when he finally shows the emotions that go through his mind when he sees her dead. Because even that first interaction with John, I still don't completely take him seriously. And again, it's just something I have with the actor. I don't know what it is. He's a good actor. He's a very good actor. It's just for some reason, in almost everything that he's in, I just don't take his character seriously. I don't know why, I just don't. But as soon as he actually really showed, like, genuine emotion for his charge being dead, I was like, okay, I actually believe this guy now. And then going after John at that moment, once he went after John again, I went, okay, this guy's an actual threat.
Oh, yeah. A real threat. Because not only does he...
Well... Okay. One thing that I will start to... That actually starts kind of in this movie. So, John does come back. He comes back like 60% in the first movie.
Okay, yeah, we talked about this.
Okay. In this one, I'd say he's closer to maybe about 75, 77%, roughly. And he probably, by the end of this movie, he probably gets to about 80%.
Yeah.
Maybe just high 70s by the end of this movie, which is still ridiculous.
Yes.
Because if he could do the entire first movie at 60%, that's just... God, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
But you watch him actually slowly come back. And you see that more in this movie. You watch the progression. Because as you were talking about before, like he adapts, because we had mentioned this right during the movie, whereas there are people who do seem to exceed John in specific aspects. And as I said, he's not necessarily the best fighter, or he's not necessarily the best, most skilled driver, or the most skilled shooter, or whatever. I mean, obviously he is, but right. but that comes with him just being the best killer. There is no one who kills better than him.
No.
There are people who do outfight him in these movies. He gets beat a couple of times by several people in all three films.
Yeah.
But no one is a better killer than John. Well, John is going to kill somebody every single time. It's just going to happen.
His level of commitment, focus, and just... I mean, and I guess like to quote the film, like will. That's
force of will, yeah.
and that's one thing. But in terms of like his fighting style, like it doesn't really like appear that he's good at any one fighting style. But
when I go to that though, it actually leads back to what I was saying before about like at the end of this movie, he's probably at 80%.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that, I say it as he's having to brush and polish off the rust of his skills. So
they are sharpening him.
Yeah, exactly. More than likely, he is the best fighter. He is the best shot. He is the best driver. He is the best person at planning whatever. He is the best at it, plain and simple. But right now, it's still all locked away.
Yes.
So there are people who can actually pose a threat to John. Cassian was one of them in the beginning of the film.
Yes.
Not by the end of it.
No.
A few other people posed a threat, but not by the end of the movie. By the end of the movie, again, he got to about 80%. All of a sudden, now he's killing everybody, even easier than he did in the first one.
Yeah. Well, and Cassian also... one thing I will say as well to John is his ability to adapt to somebody's fighting style. If it's something that throws him off or that he's not fully ready to handle, he quickly learns how to handle it, and in most cases turns around and goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, I just forgot, like not forgot about that move, but you did that move to me. Watch how I now do it better than you." Yeah. Like he has such an ability to adapt within such limited time frames at such levels too, and it's like
that goes back to what I'm saying is like he is just plain and simple the best killer in the world. Something will all of a sudden click for him, and you're gonna wind up being the one dead.
Yeah, and he also like, and we're like getting to like some of like the really fun stuff is he, no matter what his skills, his adaptability, his focus, his whatever, he also has his ability to understand his surrounding and his environment impeccable. But there is no, oh, I'm not going to do this because of X. There's, oh, your legs are open, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. Like, he's like, oh, there's a pencil right here, I'm going to stab you in the face.
Well, I can't actually seem to hurt you with my hands or legs. I'm going to shoot your knees out and then shoot you in the head.
Yeah, there is no like, oh, we're fighting hand to hand. We'll just fight hand to hand until this convert. No, oh look, a knife, stab.
Yeah,
like there is no, and that's what it's so like.
Oh, you're actually kicking my ass a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna use something else to then kill you, so I don't have to get my ass kicked.
John's not the type of guy to bite my hand. Ow! Like, what are you doing?
Your finger's missing. Fuck.
Yeah, and that's what's also so fun about him is like. It's fun watching him do the crazy techniques and the this and the that and the gun Katya and all that fun stuff. But it's also cool to just go like, he's got all of this, but also he sees an opening, like just kicking a guy in the nuts, and he just takes it because he's like, I'm trying to get to here, right? Like you're just in my way.
Well, and that's what, to kind of go off on a side tangent, but to make a comparison. That was something that Bruce Lee always talked about. He always talked about in a real fight, every real fight is a fight to the death. You're doing anything to win. Yeah. You're biting, you're pulling hair, you're kicking the crotch, you're grabbing the crotch and twisting or something like that. You're going for the eyes, nose, mouth, ears. You're going for the fingers and breaking the fingers. You're going for toes and breaking toes. You're doing everything in your power to hurt the other person in an actual fight. Doesn't matter what skills you have. If your skills are in Taekwondo, okay, you might be able to kick a guy's head in. But if you're not prepared for an actual fight, some scrappy person who's drunk in a bar may end up kicking the shit out of a black belt Taekwondo person. Because they're not expecting a real fight.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, is like, especially with John, like, especially in most cases, he's too wounded to have it, he can't, like, as much as, like, John can take as much abuse and pain there is to give more than one person.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, 20 people.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount that he can just take and still, like, and get up, and that speaks so much to the ability of how much of like a mental game it is. Like if there isn't a thought of you can't do this, then you can do it. Doesn't matter if you don't have two legs or no. Like you will crawl. You will there. For him, there's always a way.
Yeah. What's that saying though? Like if you believe that you can't do it, then you can't do it. You never will. Yeah. If you believe you can't do something, you never will. You always have to believe that you can do it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is part of actually John Wick's skill, is just his name alone. That already strikes fear into people who all of a sudden go, well, shit, it's John Wick. The hell am I going to do? I'm going to try, but I'm going to die. Yeah. You know? And the only people... If you notice, in these movies, the only people that actually can give John Wick a run for his money again, when John Wick's at 60, 75, 80% of his actual ability, the only people that can do that are the people who don't immediately back away when they hear his name. So, Cassian.
Yeah.
The deaf chick, who we never learn a name of. Our female D'Antonio.
Yeah.
Giovanni?
Yeah. Something like that.
Shoot, I can't remember her first name because they never say it. They always say their last names. Or they do say it, but they only say it like 2 or 3 times. Yeah, the only people who can actually seem to threaten John are the ones who don't resign themselves to failure.
Yeah, well, that's what's so interesting about Cassian. Let alone the fact that he was able to also get back up and fight pretty well against John after rolling down what seemed the longest staircase I have ever seen. That staircase was just as long as the one in the second Ace Ventura movie. Like, that staircase just seemed to...
Slinky, everyone loves a Slinky.
We really have to go. Oh, fine. Let's just do what you want to do.
Like a glove.
Such a great movie.
It's so good.
It's just animal cargo. I'd turn back if I was you. Well, if you were me, then I'd be you, and I'd use your helicopter to get to the top. You can't stop me no matter who you are. Hello, sir. God, so good. But anyways, yes, Cassian. Cassian. He had what really was interesting about him to me was his ability to sit there and look him dead in the face, and after John be like, "Hey, we good?" Which is really interesting because
again, the writing is so good.
Because if you think about it, it's very seldom used, which I love. But when most of the time when it's like, "Are we good?" That's an opportunity for the other person to say, "Hey, we're good. Like, we're done." It's a sign of respect. Like, It's used very seldom, and especially like John's there to kill. When he says it, it's very much like, "You've earned my respect. We're good." And when John's like, "I don't know, are we good?" And Cassian's like, "No, we ain't."
Well, it wasn't even that. It was he's like, I had a marker, and he goes, "So you're free." And John just looks at him and goes,
Am I?
Cassian's just like, No. And I'm like, fuck.
I mean, of course, like, you knew he wasn't going to win.
But you can take what Cassian says in 2 different ways. You can take it, which is definitely one way that Cassian definitely meant it, which was, "No, I'm coming after you now."
Mm-hmm.
But the other meaning behind that is, you've stepped back into this world. You're never going to be free again.
Yes, which is another very good, and they talk about it at the beginning and even in the first one, and they keep bringing it up, and it's really interesting too because it also shows us like how much further he's going in to it all, because they do keep saying like, "Hey, like, what was in the first one? You step but a pinky back into this pond, you'll find that something comes and drags you back in." And same with Santonio, and that's what I really loved about his character was he was like, "Look, I don't want to be doing this. In fact, I wouldn't have done it if you stayed retired. I would have respected that. But you came back. What am I supposed to do? I have a marker. Sorry, man." Like, and that's really interesting that dynamic too. That he plays on that because that level of respect, and also he was warned from the first one.
Well, that's what's so great about Winston, though.
Yes,
when he
he has some great speeches in this one.
The mark is done. Mark it, and he's like, "If John Wick is not dead by now, he soon will be." He goes, "You've completed the marker. Complete it, sir." He does it and everything like that. And he goes, "You do know what you've done, right?" Do you have any idea what's coming? And he's like, John did warn you, and now he's coming for you.
Oh, and what did he say too? Like, you burned down his church.
You've burned down. You've burned. Oh God, what does he say? You've set fire to the holy chapel, burned it to the ground. Oh my God, he has some really good. The lines,
speeches.
The words.
Okay,
and then his delivery. I mean, you can't beat Winston.
No,
you just can't.
You can't.
The only one that comes close is Sharon.
Yeah.
He's so good. God, he has been a good dog. I have very much enjoyed his company.
So movie, fantastic, action, par none. I can't wait for the third one. Closing questions. I think maybe you asked me this earlier. You asked me this before. But you had said that this is your favorite one out of the three.
Out of the three. I think so. The third one comes really close. But there's just something about this movie that I cannot help but just absolutely love.
And
again, like I said as well, the third movie has some of my favorite moments. But this one is.
And you said so, and that's what caught me. So when you first said, "Hey, the second one's my favorite," I was like, clearly you haven't seen the third one. And then when you said your secondary comment, which is the third one has some of the greatest moments, but overall you like the second one. As soon as you said that, I went, crap, I think he's right. and then I sat there, and then
the movie keeps going. You're like, fudge.
Well, and maybe this is, you say what you will, ego, whatever the case. I thought to myself, Chris can't be right. The third one. It's the third one. It's the third one. It's the third one. And I started trying to think of all the different ways. Like, well, okay, you can't just say no, the third one, right? Especially when you just said you agree that the second one is the best. Now the second one, so difficult because like at the beginning I totally thought, okay, I got it. The reason why I like the third one more is because the second one, I would give it to the second one if it wasn't for the ending. If they didn't set the ending of the second one, the ending of the second one. If they didn't set up the third movie in the second one, then I would almost definitely give it to the third one. And I think about that, and you would
give it to the third one, or you'd give it to the second one?
Yeah.
Because you've said both now.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. If you remove the ending of the second movie,
yes,
I'd give it to the second movie. If you take the ending of the second movie out and it doesn't basically launch the third one, which in circumstances as you think about it, or as I think about it and say it out loud, you take out the ending and it's still the prelude to the third one. There's still a giant drop off. You make it worse, actually. It's like you ever seen, I mean, they do it in cartoons all the time when they're like standing at the edge of the cliff and then like the cliff part like breaks and then you fall. That's what I just did. I just cut the corner off. But that's my problem. The second one has the greatest story. The third one is I want to give it to it, but the second one has such a roundful story, and the characters are so, not to say the characters aren't developed in the third one, but the third one is so.
The third one is very in your face.
The third one is, oh, by the way, we know you've had a lot of fun watching the guns and the flipping and the cool way we lock people into headlocks with their legs and then shoot their eyeballs. We are now going to introduce horses and you know what? I could just say
horses,
that. That's
swords, samurai, ninjas,
dogs. That didn't really hide it, and it kind of made me look ridiculous. That didn't even sound like a sneeze at all. No, I almost was afraid I hit myself too. Dogs? No, I'm okay. Yeah, so I don't even know what you were saying, honestly.
The second one being the better.
The second one, I think, could be arguably is probably the better one, and in all sense of purposes.
My only reasoning for me, the second one is my favorite, and I think the best of the trilogy, simply because number one is what allows the third movie to exist.
True that. Can't argue with that. And
it's what opened up the rest of the world.
Yeah, and it
introduces the Balfour, which is, you can't beat Lawrence Fishburne, man. I mean, come on, it's Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah,
it's Lawrence Fishburne. So, but you all of a sudden you get these different aspects, and you're like, oh damn, this is so much bigger than we ever thought it was. And obviously the third movie explodes even that. But and like I said before, the third has some of my favorite moments in the entire trilogy. But just as an overall cohesive story, the second one manages to set up so much that gets resolved in the third movie, and you're just like, holy shit, how did you do that?
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like the first one brings you to like a little piece of water, and you have to see like a wave, and you're like, oh hey, that's cool.
Well, it kind of it's like the first one is a lake, and the second one is the whitewater rapids that led to it, and then the third one's the ocean.
Yeah,
But which is more exciting, going down the whitewater rapids and experiencing that, or just being in the ocean, or just being in the lake?
Yeah, it's super interesting, and it'll be super interesting to come back to it. Once we do the third one, which we're definitely doing the third one. And before
do you want to explain why you're saying that?
Well, I was just gonna say. Do you have any like final questions on John Wick 2? Because you said you had a few. I want to make sure we got to them all because I care. I don't really care. I just want to feel like I care. What? I want to feel like I care. Yeah, that works.
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
You want to sound like you care.
Oh. I want to feel like it too.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, let me think.
That's not the Jeopardy music.
I don't know, man. I love this movie so much.
Yeah,
I could talk about it for so long.
Well, it's
I could go. We could do like an entire hour on just Winston's dialogue.
I know, and you know what? Honestly, like I felt really bad, because like I was rewatching like our last podcast and going through it, and you could create a drinking game off of me saying interesting. Like, holy cow. Oh my good, like that.
I have a feeling that still applies to this video now.
I'm sure it does. Did you? Because there are some times where I was like phenomenal, and then I thought to myself, I can't pull off that big of a word every time. Instead of saying interesting, interesting's way easier to say than phenomenal.
They don't even mean the same thing.
I know, they're not that interchangeable, I guess. But I also could imagine me going phenomenon. Okay.
Yes, the new Manuma song.
Flammable. What were we saying?
Burned it to the ground.
Burned it to the ground. What were we saying?
I don't remember.
Oh, fantastic. We're talking about.
You were talking about the other podcast.
Oh yeah. And
The
I was saying,
game.
and I was saying, interesting, way too much. It didn't matter where I clicked.
It would come up.
Yeah, everywhere I clicked. Interesting. It's not interesting. Stop saying that word. I don't know.
What could you use for interesting?
I don't know, but
I have no other word that's coming to mind. That's not good.
Well,
I usually think I have a pretty good vocabulary.
I thought about it because it bothered me apparently that I continued to think about it, and then I try to be really like preppy with it, and like because you try to just like you just start thinking about something, and you're like, okay, you really just got to move on from this pointless thing, and then I thought to myself, ooh, I know. Instead of me saying like everybody else does, I say interesting. Like interesting is just my filler word. And I thought like, well, it's better than saying like. And then I also thought, well, I also say like a lot. Whatever, man.
It's like interesting how like interesting it is.
Yeah.
Like, that interesting thing that happened?
Well,
it was like that interesting thing before.
So what I was... so there was that part of it, and then the other part of it, too, was like... The other part was I said Winston. Like, I got really excited to talk about Winston. Like we were going through the characters, and we got to Winston, and I said, "Yeah, Winston." We went in this. We started going really deep, and then for whatever reason,
we somehow disappeared from it.
We disappeared from it, and we never returned. And I was because we went into Marcus. Oh, I'm just kidding. I don't know what the hell that was. I was just like, here's a good moment.
You fell in love with Marcus, man.
But I felt so bad. I was like, Winston, I'm so sorry. We did not give you, because you are wonderful. And we talked...
Again, there are certain characters, Marcus stole every scene. It's freaking Willem Dafoe.
That's true.
The sommelier stole his scene because he just hammed it up like nothing else. It seemed like he just loved being there.
Yes.
He wanted to do as good as a fucking job as you possibly could, and he just enjoyed the hell out of it, and it was fantastic. He stole that entire scene.
He really did.
And then you have Sharon, who is just a delight. I mean, his voice is like butter to my ears. I love his voice. And then you have Winston, who, again, another person that just steals every scene that he's in. And
we're forgetting, and I forgot, which, shame on me twice. That's 4 times. Shame on me. Shame on I don't know why, but I instantly thought of the scene from going way back to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Fly! Shoot! Hiya! Although I did it right on the first time. Why do I do this? Okay.
Go Web, go!
Go Web, go!
Fly! Up and away, Web!
Which we're totally forgetting.
Ding.
The Bowery.
Yeah.
We didn't discuss
I just talked about Lawrence Fishburne.
Did we?
But we didn't go into detail yet.
Oh, okay. Don't want to have it second time.
There's another one. Bowery. Yeah. Again, another person that just steals the goddamn scene.
And I guess and luckily for him, he makes it to the next movie. Spoiler alert. Well, he makes it to the next movie.
Yeah. I'm trying not to say stuff, but I'm probably still giving it away and people can understand.
Yeah, I know. We just have to...
Yeah, he makes it to the next movie.
He shows up. Alright, so...
Oh, that's right. I know why you brought that up.
Why?
Because of what I said. The greatest line in the entire trilogy.
Oh, yeah. Somebody, please get this man a gun. which is honestly like it's what you hope for. And every time you see John, you just hope somebody hands him a gun and he just starts killing things.
7-round capacity.
$1 million a round. I like how he just is like 7 rounds.
No, it's like $7 million get you 7 rounds. It's $1 million a round, baby. It's just, oh my God, Lawrence Fishburne, I love
he's so much fun.
So good. Oh my God, he's so
yes, I guess we can get to the next part of this wonderful conversation, which is we have, me and my girlfriend, but for the intents and purposes, I'll say myself, as I am moving from California, this sweet state, to, I don't know why, I'm moving to Colorado, and it has been kind of on some level, a surprise to a lot of people, and an abrupt surprise. My bad. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. So we are moving. We are moving in about 2 months. We'll be moving in June.
What was I didn't get to hear a whole lot about this, so I just wanted to kind of know what's going on, why you guys are moving to Colorado, how long have you guys been planning to move to Colorado? Has this been more of an instantaneous thing, or has this been planned out?
Yeah, and I honestly, like, I've spent a lot of time, like, trying to figure out, like, how I want to, like, and I'll probably make, like, of course, like, I'll probably make, like, more videos about this as well, because I really want to, like, dive into this. It has nothing to do with, and I don't know why I have to say this, but it's been on my mind. It has nothing to do with the current state we find ourselves in, the pandemic, the political state of California.
I didn't necessarily think it was.
No, and I didn't think you did either. But for whatever reason, because there seems to be a mass exodus out of California for a plethora of reasons.
To be perfectly honest, that might be my reason if I ever ended up leaving, but
yeah,
that's for the far in the future. So if that ever happens,
I guess, like, before I get into the whole the side of it that'll be a real, like, passion, like, for me philosophical wise of why I'm doing this. The idea came around for myself back at the end of 2019 when we went to London. And honestly,
were you thinking more like just you guys kind of needed a change of scenery for a bit, or even just for future?
Yeah, so I mean, we went to London and we had both been working extremely hard. I had just gotten my degree, just finished college, right. When I came back, I was looking at just focusing on work and no longer having to, because for the majority of, by and large, to sum up a story, for 4 years, I had been working full time and going to school full time. Right. And so when so much happened in that one vacation. It was more than a vacation. I had graduated college. I had, I had wrapped up so much of a journey that I had been on for so long. My whole goal, a little backstory. When I was 19, I moved away from Ventura County. Moved from Ventura County, went to Anaheim, worked at Disneyland for a while. Right. Came back, and when I came back, my whole goal was to finish school and move and leave. There was no plan on staying here. My idea was, because I had left school and gone, talk about this, at another time. But basically, I decided for myself, I'm going to come back and I'm going to give school and whatever job I find 110%. Because while I was good at school and good at a couple of things, I never really focused and excelled and really took anything past, anything necessarily to stand on my own 2 feet, I guess, is the best way to put it. So
you wanted to become very independent.
I wanted to become independent, but more so I wanted to start taking, I needed to take when I went to Disneyland and I wasn't going to school and I was literally just working and living, quote unquote, on my own, it was a giant exploration of this is the real world. You know, okay. I had all these experiences with the real world, but you got your parents, you have all these safety nets, you have this, that, and the other thing. You don't have to worry about bills. There's so many things, you know, and you know, everybody knows that the older you get, doors unlock and you go, oh, more numbers I have to memorize and more taxes and bills and all the things of life that are or thumbs up, whatever you want to do.
If you're very successful, good on you.
Yeah. I mean, hey, whatever you find success to be, go chase it. You know, it doesn't necessarily always have to be, you know, money and fame, which I thought a big part of it was. But to make a long story short, I really wanted to, when I decided to go back to school, it was because I had decided that if I'm going to move forward, I need to get an education, finish out something that I had told not only myself but my parents and I had to finish out an obligation that I had told. And, you know, I never had taken work very seriously. It was always a means to an end to get to the party or get to the this or get to the that. And so when I came back, I was like, I'm going to tackle my education and whatever job I get at 110% because I really wanted to dedicate myself to the opportunity of what would come out of the hard work, not trying to, you know, I'm very much a instant gratification person. You know, I very much like if I buy a cake, it's because I'm going to eat that cake right then, and like I'm not waiting to eat a cake. I have a funny story about that in a little bit. But you know, so I really wanted to just dive in and chase opportunity and chase this, that, and the other thing. And so 2019, it was a culmination of all of that, all of those ideas of chasing experience and opportunity and excelling in all these fields that necessarily didn't connect with me, but gave me, you know, so many opportunities outside of that.
Right.
And so going on that trip and going to a completely different country and experiencing a different culture, and, you know, although there's a lot of similarities to us in the UK, there was just so much going on. I also had taken my brother and my grandma. I'm going way too far into this. But
there's a whole blog. You guys can watch it later.
Yeah. But honestly, after that trip, the conversation started happening between me and my girlfriend of, is this what we want to be doing? Do we want to move? Honestly, we crazily thought that we should just move to London. We love that place so much, you know, and for so many reasons outside of, you know, London, you know, everything that I just said, all those experiences, all those, you know, culmination of thoughts and ideas coming all together, and the completion of so much hard work, you know. It was just kind of, same thing with like the Grand Canyon. It was like standing on top of the hill and going, I made it, you know. And doing that really like kind of like started a conversation of like, can we move? And it also became another thing of, it was another piece of like that journey that I had just gone on of just saying yes and diving into opportunity. And, you know, in my head, I thought like, hey, if we can move one place, right? Like even if it doesn't work out, because then I want to touch on this more, but it's like, we could, you know, no matter of, you know, what trials or negativity that we were in now, and the, you know, there's a lot of benefits, but also, you know, a lot of negativity, a lot of choices to leave. It was less about, you know, more just leaving, but it was more about challenging oneself to do it and really pushing an internal change, you know, as well. It was, and you know, it started off as just like kind of like, hey, can we move? Well, hey, can we start saving? Like, can we start taking these little steps to make a decision? It was honestly a pipe dream. It was never, you know, because we're very solidified in our jobs that we have here, and in all, you know, insight into it, could totally make what we're doing into careers and make very good living. And on I hate to say it this way or give myself any like credit in this way, but on the precipice of really, you know, diving into our careers and making real jobs out of what we were doing. You know, we just kept making these little like joke like, oh, let's start saving. Oh wow, we're saving. Oh, like let's start. What would we do? Where would we go? Do we want to? Would we stay with what in our careers? Would we do something different? And we thought for a while. And me personally, and I'll like stick to me. Like from now on, like I really have gone to this like space where I'm at a crossroads with my education and my experience. I can really just choose to double down and focus on the career and the lifestyle I have right here, or I can take all of that and really challenge myself and make a decision to really... I've really spent a lot of time trying to figure out how I wanted to say this, because like you and hopefully you guys will kind of understand, but hope maybe you more. You build up your life with certain safety nets and obligations, whether it be your hometown or your parents want you to do X, Y, and Z, and that you either fight against them or whatever, but you're still in the confines of some sort of obligation, safety net, and we build all of that up, and life forces us to make choices like, oh, I'm not going to take that vacation because I have to work, or the car broke down so I need to take this job, or whatever the case may be. And you wake up a lot sometimes in a life that was built out of necessity more than out of the things that truly drove you and truly excited you about life. And with all the opportunities that I've been fortunate enough to have, and the most recent ones, and even this overall just path of trying to find opportunity in everything, and really just diving into my own faults and strengths, and just diving and just trying to self-develop who I am, it really was like an idea of I can really challenge myself in a whole new way. And I can also, because the goal is where we are going we've never been to the place we're moving to. I've been to Colorado, but I've never been to the place we're moving to.
We're starting over, brand new.
Yes, this is a 100% fresh start, as much as we possibly can. And I fully expect too that I'm not expecting this to be a better setup than the one that I find myself in now. And in all sensuality, with how much we're letting go of, there is a lot of ways where this could wind up being way worse than what we're in now.
But you're willing to take that risk.
We're willing to take the risk, because I just, I say what you will, this, that, or the other way. I really just want to go. I want to go live as much of a life as I want, as I see, and that means that I also really want to challenge myself in as many ways that I can. And through doing this show, finally being able to dive into a space where I've always wanted to be for so much of my life, finally actually doing it has really opened my eyes to, not that I can be successful at this or that this will become anything, but that trying is better than not trying. And I'd rather go try, and I'd rather go set something up to where everything I do is my choice. And that's what really this is. I get to go, and everything I do, right or wrong, will be 100% my choosing. I mean, of course, with the support of my girlfriend, but this isn't nobody's saying this isn't an obligation. This is all 100% me, and I'm really hoping to get into, because I still want my career. I love this, and I would love to spend more time on this.
And we can continue to still do this. Even when you're over there. I mean, we've got technology now that allows us to do these types of things.
Of course, and I hope that we get to film many more before I leave. And this is still going to be a big part of me. I'm not stopping this in any way, but I have this idea that I want everything to kind of fuel the other. Not that it'll always be a perfect system, but what I do now, even though there are aspects of it I completely love, but there are also a lot of aspects that aren't me and don't really connect with me, and I can't there's a limitation. As much as I will give myself 110%, if there's a piece of me that can't connect with it,
right.
I can't give it to myself fully. And I feel like at the end of the day, no matter how good at a job I do, I'm doing the job a disservice because I'm not connected to it as much as I want to be. And I also selfishly want on some aspects of my career to fuel who I am as an individual,
that
and
makes sense.
fuel, everything else that I'm doing. So I'm hoping that by...
I don't think that's selfish at all.
I hope not.
I mean, in one aspect it is, but at the same point, what you want out of life is to be the best version of you possible, because the best version of you is what allows you to be the best person in society as well.
Yeah.
Best version of you is what creates the best version of other people around you.
Yeah.
And the best version of themselves around you. So by you doing that, this is so, this goes to a certain thing when people are always like, oh, that's selfish of you to choose that over, doing something for other people and stuff like that. And I'm going, yes, it's always good when people are able to make that sacrifice for other people. It's an amazing thing that has a right to be praised.
Right.
And that's an amazing, amazing thing when people are able to do that. People like Mother Teresa, people, any one of the people that help the poor, anyone who goes to, the soup kitchens and the hostels and stuff like that, takes care of people, the people who take care of the elderly and everything like that. Like, those are amazing, amazing people, and they have made serious sacrifices in their lives just to take care of other people.
Yeah.
And they deserve nothing but praise in that regard. And on the flip side, what I hope people tend to can understand is that when you make decisions to be quote unquote selfish, to try and make your life better for yourself and for those that you care about, a lot of the time what ends up happening is by doing that, you wind up being able to, without any necessarily input from yourself, but you allow other people around you to be better as well.
Yeah.
So you affect others in a different way than directly. It's an indirect way of helping other people around you by showing them that you can do stuff.
Yeah, well,
you can go beyond what you're currently at, and just because you think you might be stuck somewhere, or you think that you can't do something or something like that, when all of a sudden you see someone who seemed to be in the same situation as you succeed where they wanted to go, gives you the courage to actually go forward with your own thing.
Yeah, and like on that note too, like, and it was one of the things that, like, you hear it all the time, like when you get on an airplane, if the air auction comes down, you need to put yours on first before you can help anybody else.
Want to know the funny thing?
That's
exactly what was going through my head just now. Yeah.
Well, and that was a big part of like what's like like everyone who's like now like has like found out and like talked about it, like that was a theme that kept coming up, and something that I've noted too, like, and because me, and I've even like said it like in other ways, like on here, like at the goal of everything is that I just want to like spread as much laughter as I can, and if it's not laughter, then hopefully I can shed some sort of messages on positivity or taking the opportunity. Not like I'm not doing this like not to like say that I'm not trying to be like a guru or say like do anything that I'm saying. I'm just hopefully these ideas, you can take things that'll benefit like yourself or not. Or maybe just laugh. Like, honestly, even if you're just laughing at me, like I'll take that as a win. So that's my whole goal.
Just because you made someone else's life better just for that moment.
Yeah. Or even less than that, I gave them a break from their reality.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like,
which everyone needs.
Everyone needs, and I think that's why entertainment in itself is so important, because while on,
and I think comedy especially,
comedy more than, I would say comedy more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because comedy allows you to laugh at not only what is funny, but look at even the darkest of moments in a different perspective and find light in what might seem.
It is just about the ultimate catharsis.
Yeah.
It allows you to decompress possible sad instances, possible bad experiences. You know, it allows you to look back on life and go, I'm now here. I've made it past that. I've survived.
Yeah.
And I can look back on those things and laugh in the face of the bad.
Yeah.
And be like, you did not beat me.
Yeah.
Look at where I am now. And it's sad when you wind up seeing people that lost to those instances. You know, one thing that this still pisses me off to no end. The homeless situation that happens in California, especially in California and stuff like that, but especially down in like downtown LA, in the greater Los Angeles area. There was a YouTuber, I can't remember his name, and you guys can look this up, and I'll have you look him up. But he had a background in construction, and I think he had either been a contractor or he was like really close to getting his contractor's license and stuff like that. But he lived down in LA, and he was fed up with the homeless situation. He says, this is not okay. You know, they keep saying that they're going to take care of the homeless. No one ever does anything. It's all a bunch of, falsehoods. It's hollow promises, And so he decided to do something about it. And what he did was he built these kind of like 100-foot square little houses on rollers that could be locked so you could keep them in place and stuff like that, but they could be moved if they needed to be. And they were 100% to code. They were weatherproof. They were warm. They allowed a little makeshift mailbox so that they kind of actually had a place to receive mail. And he made like 60 something of them. Dang. Okay. And he gave them away to homeless people in LA. And he would, I think he would buy the furniture inside, so they would get a bed, they'd get a desk and a chair. And I think he would give them like a brand new set of clothes and shoes. Wow. He would be like, this is for you. I want you to get your life back on track. And the crazy thing is, not only did these things look so much nicer than the tent, camps that you get, okay? Or the trash bag cities and stuff like that. Not only does these look so much nicer, because they're nice, painted different colors and stuff like that, and they're clean. They're little houses, stuff like that. They've got a nice door with a deadbolt and everything, and little windows. But because they actually had a mailbox, it could be seen as a physical address. And so many of those homeless that he gave those houses to found jobs because they had an address.
Wow. That's awesome. That's incredible.
Well, and here's what pisses me off and what pissed him off. People decided to complain to the city of Los Angeles that these houses were an eyesore. So what did the city of Los Angeles do? Confiscated and destroyed every single house.
That's nuts.
That is one of the most despicable things I have ever seen.
Yeah,
unfreaking believable.
It's interesting, and I don't want to I don't know, there's so much. I was reading this book, and I don't want to go too much into it, but basically it was talking about how we have I have to find it. We'll need to talk about it another time because I want to get the quote right, but basically it and I've been reading other stuff like in regards is basically how like we've created a system that we have to feed to like keep it going, and really like the system was established to like feed us. And it's like the same thing with like, you know, and this isn't like that comparable because that is horrible, and that realistically that shouldn't happen to anybody, especially when somebody does that a level of kindness. Like it's really,
and it propped up other people to get out of freaking poverty. I'm just astonished by that.
I mean, but the other thing too is like, I mean, and this is in no way like in comparison to that situation, but like you look at the roads. Yeah. And you go, and honestly, I look at the roads and I go, the back roads look in better condition than the main roads. Yeah. And the back road, and that's because nobody drives on the back roads anymore. Like I was driving through a major intersection, and there was the biggest pothole you had ever seen in the middle of I was like, where does all like. There's freeways, you name it, no matter what road, there are cracks, dips, you're like, and you go and like, no wonder car companies need to make, here's 2021, and you're like, it's 2019. How are you already like 2 years ahead of us? And it's like, well, your car's going to need a new car because because the roads are so bad. No wonder you got to buy a car every like 2-3 years because the roads just beat the crap out of everything.
I could go into a lot of stuff and I won't.
But anyways, so back to, I'm leaving. Hopefully it's a lot of fun.
I hope so, man. I got both of you in my prayers for this whole thing to turn out well.
It has been really interesting to see the level of feedback from everybody. I mean, honestly, because it's like, yes, I think this is kind of a wild idea to kind of drop everything and move to a completely different state and try to get, you know, a new career, and try everything new. But I also know that there are a lot of people making similar choices, you know, in a lot worse, a lot better situations. But like at the end of the day, you know, I don't know. I just feel like if we can move one place, we can move any place.
Right.
And I have this like idea of maybe like scaling, like just testing myself in little increments. Like if I do want to become more successful or more this, like I do want to put myself in different environments and different situations. And because I also am a big believer, and this will like kind of be the last thing I like kind of to wrap this idea up, is like you have I don't know how you don't want to lose it. Okay, so it's like I have this idea of like if you move to a different place, like if you change your environment, does that also mean you can change yourself? Because I've also been on a big, you know, self-development case, and so I had this thought.
I think so, because I think it almost forces you to adapt for the better.
So so that's how I thought of it. So there was that thought aspect of it too, and then I was talking to somebody else about it, and they posed an interesting I thought as well, and it's like, you know, because it's the same thing about like, you know, when you're, you know, born and raised, like how much of it is the environment that you're up against, and how much is also internal. You're introvert. Yeah. So
nature and nurture.
So
I always think it's both.
When I posed this question, you know, what other answers I got, and it really like it got me to think too. And it was actually now that I think about it more, I was more on this side than I was with the whole the environment will change you, because he had said, the guy that I was talking to, he had said, if you move, yes, you change your environment, and yes, in some ways you might change, but if you're still fundamentally you, and you carry all the same fundamental issues you're trying to quote unquote change, you're just going to bring yourself to that new environment.
Yeah, I agree.
So if
you have to be willing to make that change in that new environment.
Yes. And so I think like there's a combination there
and be
that
conscious of what needs to be changed.
Yeah. And so there's a combination there that I'm really like looking forward to like testing myself in, and I don't know, like on some points like I do like think like I'm it was not I
There's
don't
a lot of likes in that sentence.
There's a lot of likes, but it's because like I came home one day and because when we finally made the decision to do it and it was like an actual like reality, I came home one day and I just trying to like be like excited about it, but in my own stupid way. I came home and I was like, babe, I'm so excited to go to Colorado and fail. And she goes, well, I hope we don't fail. I don't want us to like, we need like jobs and we need to like live. And I go, yeah. But I mean, just like in terms of just like truly like testing myself, because I really, and I've talked about this before too, I do believe that like if you want to experience true levels of joy, you also kind of like on some levels need to experience the opposite spectrum. You can only go as high as you go the other way, because you get perspective. You know, it's the same. Like I hate to bring this up again, but the Grand Canyon. After walking 13 miles up and down the Grand Canyon, it's painful, it's exhausting, you hate every second of it, but when it's done, you're like, oh crap, that was amazing, it was beautiful, there's so much, joy and happiness, and there's so much
sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, there's so much understanding of all that you had been through, so you kind of need both of those things. So, right. At the end of it, that's I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it works out. I'm super excited, so we'll keep talking about like how that is, and it's been really interesting. I've really been like diving in more to just everything. Like I really thought like on some, because everything has been dialed to 11, right? Like, because I'm still trying to give work as much as I possibly can, even though like I'm on my way out. So, but I'm also fighting that like you're getting out, but you still want to give work as much attention. I still got this. I'm trying to give my editing more. I'm trying to write more, so I'm more fluid, like with my thought. And it was super funny. I try to comedy. Like I'm a big fan of comedy, and a lot of like stand-ups that I listen to, they talk about how like they write like at night. Like a lot of their ideas like come at night when nobody's around.
A lot of them will quiet. Just have like a notepad by their bed, because they'll wake up in the middle of the night with something and they'll just write it down so that they have it.
You don't know how many times I go lay in bed and I'm laying in bed and again, who knows if the ideas are any good, right? But you think they are. And I go
flaming balls of segment.
Oh my God! I will sit there and I will go, and I will just go like thought after thought. Like usually, like lately, it'll be like I'll choose like, because I've been writing like stories and trying to create like bits and ways to like how to like express like a story. So like I'll be thinking, I'm like, oh, I gotta say that, and oh, I can say that, and oh, I can say that, and then I instantly go, you have to write this down. Like you need to write this down. And then my arrogant side goes, nah, if it's good, you'll remember it in the morning. I say that to myself every time, and every morning I wake up and go, you are such a what? Just write it down.
Just do bullet points, man. Just do this.
I know. I really need to do that, because I really understand that on some level I really need the capacity to like let loose and just let my brain like come up with what I want to say. Because I've noticed like when I try to write out when I want to say word for word, it just doesn't play out as well as I want it to.
You need the main points, and you need them quick.
Yeah, it was so funny though, because like I had this moment where a bit that I was thinking of that I finally like forced myself to get out and come right led to led to something else. So I'll give you
something else better.
Well,
or as good.
You tell me. So I'm sitting in bed and I have this thought about like photos.
Okay.
So you know how like you take a photo and a lot of the times there's people in it that don't. It's I thought it was funny that don't agree to be in the photo but are somehow now like in the photo, and even
so just like when you take a photo and there's just random people
and there's random people in it, and like honestly, I don't know if you do this, but when I look at a photo where people in it that I don't know, I find my eyes and my brain kind of just like deleting him or them out of the photo and going, oh, that's so
I understand
sweet.
what you mean. Yeah,
because it's
that's not what you're focused on.
Yeah, well, and I started thinking like even my own like experiences, like a lot, it happens a lot when you're an employee somewhere, right? Like especially like at theme parks, as you're taking photos with your family, and inevitably you're gonna wind up in a photo that you didn't agree to be in. Plus, people then ask you like, "Can you take a photo with me?" Because they want to be like whatever. So I started thinking about all the pictures that like I'm in that like people didn't ask like me to be in. I thought like, and I started thinking of all these stories, and so like I came out. It was the dead of night. You know, like those nights where it's like nobody's awake, and it is like, and I'm talking the world isn't awake.
Yeah,
like it is
like,
dead.
Like you could whisper and it sounds deafening.
And like, so I was like, so I started writing down the story, and like the story is like when I was working at Disneyland one night, and the theme park had closed, and so I thought nobody was there, and so I'm cleaning up the ride, and I find a camera, and I'm sorry, people, but I just want to entertain. So I grabbed the camera, and like a few of my coworkers are there, and I'm like, hey guys, like look, I found a camera, and immediately I just start taking selfies, like yeah, just like taking all these dumb selfies, and then like my buddies come over, and we start taking photos or whatever, and just being.
Is this a digital camera?
Digital camera. As soon as I'm done taking photos, this family walks out of nowhere. It's pitch black, not pitch black, but it's black enough to where they walk out. I go, what the? Why? How are you here? The park's been closed for a good 15, 20 minutes. And there are ways that they weren't like illegally in there. Like I don't want to give this family a bad like. If you're in the line when the park closes, you get to ride the ride and then leave. So there are people there like after hours, but they came out of nowhere. And they're like, all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, like, did you find a camera? Oh. Was it this one? They're like, yeah, that's, oh. And so I hand them the camera, and I'm like, hey, have a good night. And they start walking away. And of course, like, this is a family who just spent all day at Disneyland, and they're leaving like for the either like for the last night or whatever. They're going to their hotel. Like they're no longer experiencing Disneyland. So of course, like while they're walking out, they're gonna flip through their photos. So they start looking at the photos, and you see the dad like he opens up the camera and he's like, I didn't take that photo. He goes to the next one. Hey, that guy looks familiar. That guy looks really familiar. And then, like, you can see, like, it's funny, and I wish I was, like, standing up and had a little bit more room, because he starts, like, he's, like, walking away, stops, looks, keeps walking, looks back at me, looks back at the camera, goes, couldn't be. Keeps walking, stops again, looks back and goes, that son of a... And I'm like, run, take off. And then, like, so there's... Because I've also been on the opposite, like, so there's that where I'm just, like, the employee, but then also I remember when I was much younger, and unfortunately, sorry, because I live so close to Disneyland, I was at Disneyland yet again, and...
you in Disney.
I know, so it's on some levels it's disgusting how many times I've not even just like working there, even before, like the amount of times I've physically been to Disneyland. Like I remember, like even the first year of me and my girlfriend's relationship, well, we spent more time in the car than we did at Disneyland, but that's because we kept driving to Disneyland. We would drive to Disneyland and it would be insanely packed. We would just go home. We'd spend 4 hours in the car driving to Disneyland, get there and go, this is too busy, and get back in the car and drive all the way home. There was one time where we got there and I
almost want to shoot myself at that
We
point.
made it to Tomorrowland. It was like 110 degrees. Everybody was shoulder to shoulder. It was horrible. I wound up just sitting in the shade and just like going like doing this until finally my girlfriend was just like, do you want to go home? And I'm like, please, can we? And so we get back in the car and we start heading home, and we get dead stopped in traffic, and we sit there for the next 2.5 hours, not moving an inch. We watched the whole stand-up special. We really enjoyed it. We sat there for so long. They had to position everybody off of the freeway and reroute them 3 miles down and back on.
What happened?
Well, I tried so hard to just be like, it is what it is. Just let it go. There's no need to look it up. We're watching stand-up. We're enjoying it. Get through the whole thing. It took us 5 hours to drive. It took us 3 hours to drive like a 20-minute span. Like, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. And finally, at the end of the night, I finally just like, okay, what was that? And I looked it up, and apparently what had happened was this guy was running away from the police. I don't know why. He was driving away from the police, and he got on the freeway, driving on the opposite direction of freeway. God. Crashed into a car, got ejected out the front windshield. Cops showed up. This guy stood up, started shooting at the cops, and then booked it off the freeway. So because of that, they had to corner everything off and like take evidence and the bullet casings and all that stuff. God. And that's why everyone was stopped there. But I was like, let me get this straight. This guy got crashed into a car, ejected out of the front seat, then just stands up and just starts like, oh my good! I was so shocked. Like, that was I was so like, what that? Of all the times that we were just sitting in traffic for hours trying to get to Disneyland, and all the times you just sit there going, man, would people? Because most of the time it's a guy, he's got a flat tire, and then everybody and their sister. They're calling everybody and their sister like, hey, did you see the traffic that happened? It's so stupid. But then, like, this was something completely different. So anyways, I'm writing this story, and it's the dead of night, and nobody's awake. Now, everybody on some level will probably relate to this, at least, like, and I'll say it my way. Like, I have a horrible sweet tooth, just to the point where, like, yeah. And that's not even. There's more of that story too. No, I'm just kidding. But so I have a terrible sweet tooth, to the point where, and rightfully so, anytime I reach for treats, I get a glare. To the point where, like, I really have to force myself to hide the snacks and just eat them alone, right. Because you don't like the glare, and so it's the dead of night, everyone's asleep, and so I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is perfect. You have like a late night snack, nobody's around, and you have a late night snack, but when you've set it up like that, when you're to a point where you're going to having to hide something from other people in the house, right? Everything becomes a 007 mission, right? It's not as easy as just going and getting the snacks.
Now you have to be quiet.
Yeah. You have to be quiet. You have to plan. You have to strategize. You can't just go. You don't just go and get the snack. That's a rookie move, okay? So, in fact, the only reason I got up to come and write is because I wanted a snack. And I thought to myself, I get to the kitchen and I start planning. I go, okay, I need a plan. I can't just go and get a snack. What if I get caught? Oh, I have an idea. I'll set up my notebook and start writing. And so if she wakes up, then I'll be writing. And if she's like, why it's so late? Why are you doing this? And then I just, for whatever reason in my head, I'm just like, oh, I think of something like poetic or something like the dark silence drew out my inner muse. Catch her off guard. That's what I'm thinking. It's stupid, and that wasn't poetic at all, but catch her off guard. And so I set up, I get everything all set up. Now, this is really crucial. See how detailed you gotta be really, it's really critical how you set this up. The best way to hide snacks in this house, and probably for most people, like when I was a kid,
inexpired food.
No, my sister used to open up the package from the back and then just take.
Yeah,
and then
you told me that.
And I like, but no, I put them up high. So like you can't reach them.
Yeah, because you're so tall.
Like well. So not only that, I put them up so high for two reasons. One, you can't reach them, and two, you can't see them. Like even for me, I put them high enough where I need to stand on something. That's how high I put them. So so I'm like, so I had to set the stage, right? So I get my chair and I have a stool, and I go, okay, I need to move the stool over there, but I can't get the snack yet. Because I got to set up the writing stage. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. So I go put the stool over. I go put my writing stage out. And I go, okay, it's still quiet. Everyone's still asleep. Now it's time to go and get... In this case, it was a muffin. It was a chocolate chip muffin. But, snack of choice. But in this case,
it was a muffin.
It was a muffin. And so I go over and I go over to the stool. And I need to move the stool just a little bit closer. And when you make that noise, I moved the stool and I made a noise, and I thought, oh damn. You get that. Yes. You get that fear paralysis.
Yeah.
It's real interesting to me, like those moments of like fight or flight. Or
for non life threatening things.
Yeah, well,
they're always for some like little mundane thing. You're just like, I'm about to die.
It's like when you knock something over and you just freeze and you watch it happen in slow motion, just fall to the ground, totally capable of catching it, but incapable at that moment. I call it fear paralysis. So
that's a good name for it.
I moved the stool and I froze. And I was like, oh, she's awake. Now, realistically, I made a noise that wouldn't wake up a mouse, but it's so quiet that you think that
far
I thought that I just was like, go, muffin, just boom. So I'm just like, and in my head, I'm just frozen, just thinking, well, should I go check if she's awake? No, don't check if she's awake. Just finish your mission. Get the muffin. You don't have time to second guess yourself. If she was awake, you would know she was awake. So I go, okay, get up. So I get up on the stool. I grab the muffin. And I'm like, oh, I gotcha. I got the muffin. And so stupid. I grab the muffin. I instantly think, because I've turned on all the lights. And from the bedroom, you can clearly see into the kitchen. And so my initial thought is, I must find darkness. I must find a small hole to go eat this muffin or snack of choice, whatever you want. So I race, I dart away from the kitchen, and I start and it's one of those, the victory. So now, not only have I gotten a sweet treat, right, which is victory number 1, I've pulled off what I believe to be the greatest heist that I've ever planned. Check number 2, right? I'm sitting there victorious with my muffin, snack of choice. And it's one of those instantaneous moments where you eat half of it without it. And it's just halfway gone. But then, fear paralysis. And you're going, Nick, for one, this is an emotional roller coaster over this muffin. I know. There's a lot going on. There's a detailed story trying to get to this muffin. But I instantly stop and I'm halfway through and I go, oh shit. What if she wakes up right now? There's nothing I can do. All my previous setup is all out the window. I can't just start crumbs all over and just start writing. I'm way over here. I'm nowhere near them. I'm sitting in the dark. Halfway through this muffin, I look like a maniac, and so you have that I have that instant thought where I'm like, oh, I just throw it away, and I instantly was just gonna throw it across the room because for whatever reason I was such in fear paralysis. I thought, without making any noise, pulling off again the greatest heist that I had ever pulled off before, that I'd somehow woken her up. In my head, she was awake, staring at me. Halfway muffin by So I'm like, throw it away. And then I instantly go, no, don't throw it away. You've been victorious. You deserve that treat. You eat that treat. And I go, you know what? I do. And I sit down and I take my sweet time. The chocolate chips, the muffin, the deliciousness. Woo-wee. It was such a good victory. And then I sat down and I was like, man, that's a good story. I'm gonna write that down. I just started like writing profusely about this like muffin that I had just eaten, which in all honesty, and this is why I kept saying like snack of choice, like I was to my bare bones of snacks. Like the chocolate chip muffin, I could have gotten way better than the chocolate chip muffin. But the fact that that it was there and I wanted to pull that off. I'm still talking about it. It's like this will go down as the greatest.
Getting a muffin within now, your own kitchen, man. Two
things that I've realized since that. One, the moment that I had finished writing the story, right, I had looked up and realized that I have a camera that's pointed right at the kitchen that would have watched me like a maniac go over, move the chair, come back, set up my writing, go back, pause, look around like a crazy person, go up, get the muffin, be standing up tall, victorious muffin, look around, jump off, dart to the darkness. And then
I want to see this footage so bad now.
So honestly, I've had that thought, and it's been one of those things where I'm too terrified to look it up to see if it actually like caught it. I know. So there is, and I know like for people at home, they're like, oh, if you didn't film that thing, this story is so stupid.
Seriously, you have to have filmed it.
So I mean, we'll see. But so either that. Right? So that would totally blow me out of the water. I'm dead to rights. Or, now that I've completed the story, and I live in a very small place, and she's in the other room, she has definitely now heard that I have secret snacks, where I hide them.
And that night when you went out to write, it was to just get a snack. I kind of want her to find all your stashes now. I think it'd be pretty funny.
I know. I feel like they're stashes, but they're not. A fool could find my snack hiding places. In fact, honestly, doesn't matter how high you put the muffins. When you open up the cabinet, you can see the box at any end. Like it's the worst place for muffins ever. But anyways, so that's that. We have to do John Wick 3. Yes, John Wick 3 is coming. Thank you, everyone. Now, see, also, last time I was upset with you for saying goodbye, and I told you specifically not to say goodbye to them, and I felt really rude, right? Which is why, not about you, but to them. I was like, well, that's mean. And then, as soon as I said politely goodbye, I instantly regretted it.
Oh my god! Oh no! Oh man! I instantly regretted it.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, folks. Until the next time. Was a pleasure. Don't wave to them.
I saluted. How
you
dare
saluted.
You?
Don't salute to them. You do whatever you want.
We'll see you guys next time.
This is this honestly, if I ever wanted to be, when I was a kid, I always thought like bonus material. I always like to be in like a boy band, and this could have been like a joke maybe that I heard, but I always like it's like, you know, as long as you can master like the open and closing of your hand, you could be like a great.
Yeah, that is from something.
Yeah. Right? It's like
it's from a
stand-up, right? It is.
Yeah, but who is it?
I don't know.
Joe Coy.
It is Joe Coy.
It's Joe Coy.
Yeah, that is...
Wait, no. Is it Joe Coy? I feel like it's Joe Coy. I feel singing and stuff like that. But
it's Kevin Hart. It's Kevin Hart because he's talking about not only like the people who like do this, but he was also talking about like he's like, oh, back in the old days when you had like 4 like the Temptations, like I'm gonna slide back on these, watch it, woo, and it's like dang it, Kevin Hart. See,
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, we knew it.
No offense to Joe Coy, we love Joe Coy.
No. Are you kidding me? I've also quoted him a few times. Actually, in one of my London vlogs, it's the last thing I say for some ungodly reason. And I apologize. I apologize for a lot. I apologize for 98%. Yeah. That because, internet troll. No, I'm just kidding. 98% of what I say, I apologize. And 97. I liked what I said about the 98, so I thought I'd roll it back to 97 because I gave myself credit. That's what everybody else is doing. The pathetic thumbs up.
Pathetic thumbs up.
Okay. I don't know what I was going to do there.
I don't know. More pathetic thumbs up.